Unfortunately, millions are set to lose Medicaid and food benefits. Millions of Americans, this can happen. Let's take a look at the headline from Common Dream. Imminent danger, millions set to lose Medicaid, food benefits once public health emergency ends. When the public health emergency ends, many individuals and families will experience the cumulative impact of losing access to both Medicaid and SNAP. Advocates warn. So this is coming from Common Dreams. Let's take another look at another fact point. In less than 3 months, millions of people across the US could be kicked off Medicaid and see their food benefits slashed if the Biden administration declines to further extend the federal public health emergency that was first declared at the start of the corona pandemic. Millions, more than 40 million people to be exact, across the United States are currently receiving SNAP benefits, and around 90 million are on Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program, and that is CHIP. Now, the Biden administration did extend the public health emergency through January the 11th, but that's right around the corner. And these millions of people who are depending on this assistance, they need some certainty. You always hear these folks that are for the corporation talk about what kind of certainty they need. Well, what about the certainty of the folks in the hoods where they misunderstood, whether it's the rural hoods, the urban hoods, or the suburban hoods? Baby, they need some certainty too. As far as I know, you know what? Some folks think the pandemic is over. The pandemic ain't over. We might be done with the pandemic, but the pandemic is not done with us. And the residual impact of this pandemic is still being felt throughout this country, especially among the poor and the working poor. You just can't shake this thing like that. It is still going on and people still need relief. Jay?
This is one of those things, and there's a debate over whether or not this should be extended, or after it's extended, then the next step and the next step and the loosening of the requirements, all that will then allow many of these folks in charge of many of these red states to then go immediately going and taking them off of it or changing the rules to make sure that it goes the way that they want it to. For what purpose though? That's the question I don't think we ask enough. Is it to save some money? It's really weird because these are constituents. These are folks that are looking to survive. These are the folks that they're complaining about, or they're complaining in favor of. At least they claim to all the time. We're talking about inflation, we're talking about gas prices, we're talking about food prices when you go to the grocery store. All those things are affecting these same folks. So why is it your first actionable thing that you do? This is your movements versus your words you say when you're campaigning, is to go directly at those same people's throats and take away something that's assisting them as far as what's happened with this pandemic. And if you're upset that the pandemic officially, economically at least, hasn't ended for so many people, maybe you should do something about that. What is the plan to do something about the fact that you're still upset that the pandemic has not ended economically, at least in this point, which it hasn't health-wise either, but economically how it's affecting so many people and how then these people need these benefits to a certain degree. What is it really doing to people? There's more numbers I'm sure you're gonna get to on this, but I just wanna point out how this is the first step that they go after. Why aren't they going after the money? Because there's not much here, by the way, as far as how many people are affected by this.
No, Jay, that is exactly right. And thank goodness for the advocates that are out there pushing ahead of time before January gets here to sound the alarm, to let folks know you got to do something about this. Let them know right now that these benefits will be extended because they need to, between talks about a recession looming, inflation, all of the variables that make it very hard for people who were already in survival mode before the pandemic. I mean, if you living inside the bubble, then you can have a very cavalier attitude and say that the pandemic is over, but it is not over at all. And it is going to take an extraordinarily long time for people to recover. And so there's promise in the problem, which is, Jay, we could really go big. This country could have went big. Medicare for all those. We don't have to worry about Medicaid because everybody would have healthcare. This is the moment to go big. Let's put up a chart about what inflation is doing, because some of these special folks, want to say that the inflation has something to do with the little raises that people got. The raises in wages that some folks received is not more than inflation. And we can see how people are still suffering in this country right now. And this comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. about the inflation rate. So Jay, folks got about a 5%, about 5% wage increase. Inflation is what? Over 8.2%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we still have a long way to go. In other words, workers got a pay cut because their wages are not keeping up with inflation. And speaking of inflation, and I want you to react to this. My stunt double on Twitter, I was acting up. And so I said, inflation is going up, but there's one thing that has stayed the same. Let's go ahead and put up my tweet, please. Arizona iced tea is still 99 cents, baby, 99 cents. Jay, I went, yeah, it's still 99 cents. But meanwhile, inflation is on the damn rise.
No lie. I thought you would have been, the reference point in my brain was Arizona iced tea. Obviously, that's the basic one. The first thing I swear I was gonna say was, but let's keep it real, the kiwi strawberry is absolutely the best version. It's not tea, but it's still Arizona iced tea. Just like Fruitopia.
I got some herbal, all 99 cents, baby. Don't you mess with me. Okay, I got my supply, 99 cents.
Hey, Fruitopia in 1994 was also the bomb. So let's just keep it real. That's actually what we were all on board for. And you can see, I love that example. Look, you can see what can happen and what people want to do when it comes to their business. And by the way, Arizona is not out of business yet. Obviously, they're still pumping out things like that. And we got S&T buying several. How many did you buy? 6?
Because I can afford it. Because it stayed 99 cents. So why is inflation going up? But Arizona tea can remain 99 damn cents. Okay, here it is.
We were just talking about the debate with Val Demings and Marco Rubio. And if you're in a back and forth discussion with someone who's complaining about inflation, costs of food and all that, gas prices, everything that's an issue, because those are real issues. Yes. And then you bring up these real stats, like look, or maybe just bring up that we have an issue with our wages. And they're like, well, I mean, if you're just lazy and don't work hard enough, then that's just a problem. So if the inflation is higher than wages, what needs to change? Ask them for the answers, because there's always questions, there's always complaints. When is the answer gonna be given? Before you even have a debate with a Republican, I hope some of these Democrats that have these debates and they're complaining and saying all the stuff that Democrats are ushering in, ask them, what's the answer then? I've got several. What's yours?
What's that? Hey, Jay, what they need to go ahead and do is what Congresswoman Val Demings did. All he's ever ran is his mouth, baby. That was a drop mic on that.